Yes, reports are coming into us that Bob Vylan has now been dropped by his agent after a controversial Glastonbury gig, as the BBC admits that they regret not pulling the live stream of the performance.
Yes, that's the breaking news just coming in now. Multiple reports suggest that Bob Vylan has been dropped by his agent. This after a unrepentant non-apology posted to Instagram earlier today. And of course, the widespread condemnation from political, societal, media figures as well, and the intervention of Ofcom into the decision of the BBC to broadcast those chants, demanding that the crowd join in with the phrase death, death, death to the IDF.
I mean, this is an interesting development, isn't it, Tom? Because music, and Glastonbury in particular, has always been edgy. It's always had this kind of political side to it. And, you know, you could say, well, within the confines of the law, why shouldn't people be allowed to say what they want in an event like that? But obviously, it's not just the BBC that are now in trouble. His agent think that this is a commercial problem, a moral problem. We don't know.
Well, I think it's clearly a commercial problem. We've seen reports earlier today that the US State Department is considering revoking his work visa. Their work visa. It's a duo. Bob Vylan is a duo. And they were going to go and perform in the United States in dozens of cities in the United States over the coming months. So if their work visa is withdrawn by the Trump administration after these comments, well, I mean, perhaps that's just a commercial decision that the agent is making, that this is no longer a profitable duo because so few places would have to hear them.
Yeah, I wonder if they're regretting what they said and did. But, I mean, lots of people are talking about this as what does the law say about free speech? What does Ofcom say about regulations? But it isn't just about the law. It's a sense of common decency in terms of what you will and won't say in public, the kind of violence that you're willing to call for. You can't legislate for every kind of aspect of speech, and we definitely wouldn't want to.
No.
But to have some sort of coherent sense of safe society, we need people to put limits on themselves in terms of what they're willing to say.
Well, absolutely, and this is the sort of societal response that I think I would expect, really, from any upright and self-reputable agent when one of their stars has just chanted on the stage in front of thousands upon thousands of people, death, death, death. Or as they pronounced it, deaf, deaf, deaf. I don't know if that was just to make the IDF rhyme work, but no, it is extraordinary that there is just such hatred there and such malice. I mean, I can't think of any other cause really that would espouse as something that is to be sought after death.
And it's the two-tier nature of it, isn't it? They wouldn't shout death for Hamas.
Certainly not. Now, the BBC admits that they should have pulled the plug on punk band Bob Vylan's controversial Glastonbury set.
Well, the duo have now reportedly been dropped by their agency, and the broadcast of the BBC is being investigated by watchdog Ofcom. Well, the media regulator says it's very concerned about the live stream of Bob Vylan's performance, adding that the BBC have questions to answer.
But of course, this is particularly pertinent because this chant about killing came at a music festival. And we all remember what happened at the Nova Music Festival back in 2023 in Israel.
Well, joining us now is the father of a victim of that October the 7th attack, Yoram Yehuda. Yoram, thank you for joining us now on this programme. It must have been an extraordinary moment to hear or see reported those horrific chants. How did it make you feel, and what do you think about the BBC's response to this?
It was very difficult for me to see this movie, this show. You know, my son was murdered in same festival, music festival. All the boys and girls who were there were people of kind of peace and love, no hate. And what we saw in this festival is Bob Vylan screaming death to IDF, death from the river to the sea. I didn't understand how is the connection between a music show, a music festival, to this kind of words. And it was very difficult for us. You know, we have a war with Gaza because of one reason, because of the many thousands of people from there terrorists attacked our civilian, killed more than 400 boys and girls in the music festival, killed more than 1,000 people in the communities and cities around the border, and we just wanted to be the people. The boys and girls only wanted to join and to enjoy a music festival, nothing else.
I think of all of the reports of October the 7th, the ones that hit hardest are the ones that where you hear about the people who were dancing in the early hours of the morning at the Nova Festival, only to be attacked at a time that they were trying to experience love and joy and all the things that you do when you're young. I mean, it is just the most extraordinarily heart-wrenching thing. But death was brought to the Nova Music Festival on October the 7th. And hearing the word death being brought to the Glastonbury Music Festival in England, I just think it is hard to think of two concepts that are further from one another than joy and music and life, and on the other hand, death. Bringing that word death to Glastonbury, I mean, it just strikes at the soul.
I tell you something, I'm sure that if this kind of a shame was happened in Israel, this singer will never sing in Israel again, and it's a shock, you say it's a shock. You're not expecting from a singer to sing this kind of songs. That's to IDF and from the river to the sea. I'm not sure that he understands the meaning from the river or the sea. I'm not sure that he know the meaning of which river and which sea. He never visited in this area. He don't know how the conflict about. And it's a propaganda for Hamas. And he gave him a present. And Hamas is the enemy of all over the world, like Iran and like Hezbollah, all others, the terrorist organizations, and they're not bad for Israel only. They're bad for all over the humans in the world, for all over the countries in Europe, especially. I think that BBC must be ashamed about it. I think that the government in Britain must do something about it, investigate how this happened, that BBC continues to broadcasting this show. I'm in shock. I'm telling you that I'm shocked. It's about 2 years. We're closing about 2 years since October 7. And we're still in a war. We have more 50 hostages there underground. I'm not imagine how it's real that this kind of thing has happened. And we can see all the anti-Semitism around Europe. The bad thing happened to us, not to other country, and we're expecting that all the countries in Europe will stand with us, not will be against us. And this kind of what happened with Bob Vylan is not good. It's really not good. It's bad.
Yoram Yehuda, I thank you so much for joining us on Good Afternoon Britain. Tom, it is an extraordinary phenomenon, and the people going to this music festival, the performers there, they're not doing anything practical about peace in the Middle East. This is just about signalling high-status opinions, but doing it in the most appalling way.
But who would have thought, as they packed into their probably far too small car for their far too large group of friends and brought their tent that's no doubt going to be getting so muddy it needs to be thrown away, and all the things that you expect of a wonderful music festival, who would have gone on that journey down to Glastonbury thinking that, this weekend I'm going to chant about death?
I know, it's extraordinary. But it just shows how caught up people can get in this political view. Of course, it's perfectly legitimate to criticise the actions of Israel and the IDF, but the idea that you can get away with that kind of incitement is extraordinary.
Or the idea that you can greet death with more death.
Well, the BBC has released this statement. A spokesman said millions of people tuned in to enjoy Glastonbury this weekend across the BBC's output. But one performance within our live streams included comments that were deeply offensive.
Well, the BBC respects freedom of expression but stands firmly against incitement to violence. The anti-Semitic statements expressed by Bob Vylan were utterly unacceptable and have no place on our airwaves, so say the BBC. We welcome Glastonbury's condemnation of the performance.
They went on to add, the team were dealing with a live situation, but with hindsight, we should have pulled the stream during the performance. We regret this did not happen.